Hi, welcome to another Mentour Cadets video. It's Teddy again, and today I'm going to be talking to you about what to expect in the 18 months at Oxford, giving you a general course outline. So, very generally speaking, the course is split into 5 major sections. These are ground school, your foundation flight training, your CPL, first officer fundamentals week, advanced flight training, which is your instrument rating, and multi-crew cooperative and jet orientation course. So let's start off with ground school. Now this consists of 14 subjects, and they're split across 2 phases, phase 1 and phase 2, split equally 7 in each phase. So phase 1 has principles of flight, instrumentation, aircraft general knowledge, which is sort of a mix of 2 or 3 subjects. It's electrics and systems and also instrumentation. Human performance, meteorology, VFR and IFR communications. Now, phase 1 is approximately 12 weeks of teaching, 15 if you include the week for school finals, which are the sort of mock exams, a week that you have off to study, and your formal EASA exams with the UK CAA. Now, in phase 1, you'll have a little bit of a progress test about 4 to 6 weeks in. This is just to see how you're doing. If there are any sort of areas of deficiency within your knowledge or within your course itself, you can see trends. And just generally to see how you're doing. So these are known as test 1s, and they'll cover all 7 subjects, and you'll do them in a computer lab somewhere in school about 4 to 6 weeks in. And it's quite a nice indicator as well to see if you understand the subject as well, which is quite nice. So after 12 weeks of teaching, you'll come to the end and you do your school finals and your EASAs for phase 1 for those first 7 subjects. In phase 2, you have general navigation, radio navigation, operations, which is sort of European ops, air law, performance, flight planning, and mass and balance. Now, phase 2 is slightly shorter than phase 1. It's only 10 teaching weeks, and 12 to 13 if you include school finals, a week off for revision, and your EASA exams. And you'll have your test 2s, which are basically identical to test 1, except for the 7 subjects that you have in phase 2, about 3 to 4 weeks in. So the pass mark for all of these exams is 75%. Unfortunately, if you get less than that, you have to resit them. And there's only a certain amount of times you can resit an exam, but more of that in another video. So yes, you'll sit a total of 42 exams during ground school if you include 3 tests for each subject. So for each subject you have a test 1 or test 2, a school final exam, and an EASA exam. So yeah, at the end of each phase you'll sit your school finals, which take the format of the EASA exam. So for example, if you're sitting a principles of flight exam, there'll be 42 questions, just like the EASA exam, and if they weighted 10 questions, allocated 10 questions to general definitions, then you would get 10 questions on general definitions in the school final. And passing these will internally, so Oxford will allow you to sit your EASA exams after you pass your school finals. So that's basically the general gist of ground school. If you want more detail, you can ask in the comments, or I can make another video. But yeah, that's the general gist of ground school. So when you finish ground school, you will have 1 week of safety briefings. It's called Flight Safety Week. So this is the week before you have a week off before you go to Arizona. So first off, fundamentals week, flight safety week, a week off, and then you'll jet off to Arizona, which is what everyone looks forward to. So this is known as your foundation flight training. You're building your hours and the skill towards your commercial pilot's license. Now, a common misconception is that you do a private pilot's license at Oxford before you go for the commercial pilot's license. While this may be true for modular students or distance learning students, this is not the case with an integrated course. We go straight for the commercial pilot's license, no need to do a PPL skills test. So in Arizona there'll be 91 training sorties on missions, including your CPL, which is actually 92 if you include the two parts of your CPL, but I'll get onto that in a little bit. So you get approximately, well, you meant to get exactly 143.3 hours in Arizona, which is split approximately 120 hours single engine, which is in the Piper Archer. If you want a picture of that, there'll be one in the first video I made on this channel. And 20 hours in the multi-engine Piper Seminole, which is basically an Archer with two engines. Now, the Oxford don't just dump you into the CPL, so you won't do the 143 odd hours and then they'll just go, right, CPL, off you go, good luck. No, along the way you have 5 progress tests. You get used to the concept of a check ride. So your PT1 is sat about 15 to 18 hours in, if I remember correctly, and that's basically passing PT1 will make you eligible for your first solo, pending your examiner's signature, of course. Correction, your instructor's signature. But it's PT1 is a test of circuits. So you have a normal circuit, a flapless circuit, a glide circuit, etc., etc. You'll be examined on your landings, your compliance with speeds, etc. Progress test 2, PT2, is navigation, so it's VFR navigation to ground landmarks below. PT3 is airwork, so it'll be stalls, steep turns, etc. PT4 is basic instrument flying, so you do some VOR holds, NDB holds, and maybe fly procedure. And PT5 is your actual CPL. Now, while this isn't called PT5, I've included it in this list of 5 PTs because it is still a check ride, but it's the biggest one, it's the important one, the official external one. So you have an examiner from the UKCAA based in Arizona who will do this test with you. So what you actually learn during your CPL, all the flights are VFR, so visual flight rules, so you're flying with reference to the horizon and to ground features below you. You'll have VFR navigation, which is using dead reckoning navigation to fly between 2 known visual landmarks. You'll learn to do airwork, so recovering from stalls, doing steep turns, circuits, etc. And you do some basic instrument flying as well. As I mentioned, you examined on this in PT4. So this may be tracking a VOR, intercepting a track for a VOR, procedural flying, etc. And you also fly simulators out in Arizona. Well, these aren't sort of level D sims. They're FNPT, so flight and navigation procedural trainers. And you get to, can't remember exactly how many hours you get, but yeah, you get to fly. You get to fly sims out in Arizona as well, which is a lot of fun. So when you pass your CPL, you're meant to have a week off. Sometimes you don't if you've had some training delays out in Arizona. But you'll come back, you have the week off, and then you'll start what's known as FOF week, which is First Officer Fundamentals week. Now this is all about sort of threat area management, how to be a good first officer, how to lead a synergistic flight deck, cockpit gradient, etc. Sort of multi-crew concepts which are taught to you. And these seminars are held by first officers of airlines based in the UK, and some very useful information, and it's good fun. First Officer Fundamentals Week, you get to talk to someone who's out there, flying the big jets. It's very, very, very nice to listen to. And when you finish First Officer Fundamentals Week, you have your advanced flight training. This is your instrument rating. This is approximately 50-ish total hours, split 20-ish hours in the aircraft and 30 hours in the simulator. Now, instrument flying is navigating based purely on radio aids and your instruments that you have in front of you. So it's maybe using an ILS, a VOR, or an NDB. You do NDB holds, instrument airwork, which is stalls under the hood, and unusual attitude recovery based on the information presented to you in the instruments, hence the instrument rating. And yeah, you do partial panel work, which is sort of not really navigating, but climbing, descending, turning, and recovering from unusual attitudes on a limited panel. So some of your instruments may have failed and you have to use your standby, or instruments that have not failed. Yeah, and during your instrument rating, you also do your radio telephony test, which is a requirement for license issue within the United Kingdom. And then after all of that, you will sit your PT6, which is a sixth progress test. We spoke about Arizona having the progress test. They carry over into back into Oxford, and you have the sixth PT, which is basically an instrument rating profile. And then when you pass that, you'll finish off your hours, and then you'll do your instrument rating test, which is the big one with the CAA once again. I won't go into too much detail. It includes everything that I just spoke about, but if you want a detailed sort of profile of how the ride is, let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely do that for you. So yeah, once you pass your instrument rating, that's your fourth phase done. You're almost finished at Oxford, because you move on to the multi-crew cooperative / jet orientation course, which only lasts about 3 weeks. So when you pass your IR, you are near the end. So moving on to multi-crew cooperative, which is where I am. I passed my instrument rating about 2-3 weeks ago, and moving on to the multi-crew cooperative in a week and a half or two. I've had the Christmas period off, but I don't know too much about it. I know it's approximately 40 hours, and it's in a 737 simulator. Not a level D, once again, but FNPT, so Flight Navigation Procedural Trainer. And this isn't learning how to fly a 737, this isn't a type rating, this is introducing you to the concept of jet flying and multi-crew flying, hence jet orientation course and multi-crew cooperative. Instead of actually learning how to fly a 737, because it's an FNPT, so it doesn't replicate the flight characteristics. I mean, you pull up, it'll go up, you push down, it'll go down, and the attitudes associated with different speeds will be simulated, but it can't be used to learn how to fly a 737. But it can be used to learn the procedures for flying and navigating in a 737. That's basically all I'm going to say about multi-crew, because I haven't done too much research into it, and I don't want to say anything that's majorly incorrect. But I'll let you know more about the multi-crew cooperative when I've completed it, probably. But it lasts about 3 weeks, and yeah, it's about channeling everything that you've done up to now, which is single pilot, your CPL and your IR are all single pilot operations, into multi-pilot operations, so using 2 brains and 2 people to achieve essentially the task of one common task. And that's basically it. Once you finish multi-crew cooperative, you make sure the paperwork is done correctly, and you wait for your license to be issued, and then you send your application off to airlines, and that's basically it. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, have a good day wherever you are.